we observed the Taliban for that whole day, maybe a little bit into the next day. And
what were they doing?
some of them were executing people in the civilian terminals on the far side. A couple of our guys had got, not our team, but a couple of the guys from Echo Company had gotten shot at. And at the time, it was like, if you get shot at, shoot back. Like, that's what the ROEs, what we were told. And then those ROEs just started just dropping or going to the wayside. They were like, all right, don't do anything.
Don't do anything?
Unless you're like getting shot at or you see someone's life threatened, like, don't shoot. And like, specifically for us, because we're like,
So hold on.
yeah,
ROEs are
rules of
don't
engagement.
shoot unless you get shot at.
Yeah,
You're literally, you showed me videos of this.
yeah,
You're literally witnessing people get executed from all angles.
yeah.
And then they make the ROEs even more strict on you.
Yeah, they
Who's
go.
telling you this? Where's this shit coming from?
It was a mix.
What is the leadership saying
But
as
it's-
they tell you
Yeah,
this?
so it's like battalion and higher. And for us, we were like, okay, well, so obviously we're in a more unique situation being in a sniper team. You know, what are we doing if we perceive a threat? And so now we have to request permission to engage. If we see someone getting shot or executed, we have to make sure that they are like an American citizen or an ally. And like, how the fuck are we supposed to know that when they've got someone on their knees with a gun to their head? And so we're there. And I'll jump more into the ROEs when we get to the Abbey Gate, but we,
How many people do you think you saw executed in person?
myself, probably at least 50.
50 people.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was all primarily at Abbey Gate, about 98% of it. Myself and Jorge, we went to,
Women,
yeah,
children.
I didn't see any children. But I did see dead children because of the Taliban forcing these civilians to be so scared that they'd throw their babies over the wall or they would get trampled to death. We pull off of that position that day and they're like, hey, you guys are going to Abbey Gate. Abbey Gate forward. And they're going to open the gate and start like letting people through.
Is this the 26th?
This is now like the 18th, I think, of
Okay.
August. Because we were maybe the 17th. We were there at Abbey for like almost 10 days leading up to the suicide bomber. And we get there. We set up the position. They're like, okay, we're going to open up the gate here in a minute. And at this point, I mean, there's a couple thousand people outside the gate and more still coming.
Why are you... Hold on. Let's backtrack just a second. So you're about ready to open this gate. Are people being executed right outside of the gate?
So the Taliban had a checkpoint. So from our gate, the Taliban had a checkpoint right past the Baron Hotel where the British were at. And they had gotten blocked by the crowds. They couldn't get through the crowds from the Baron Hotel. The Taliban were about 155, 165 yards in front of us. So that's where they were killing people and doing stuff. And those killings and beatings were happening more before we got there, and then died down a little bit because we could see them. And then shipping containers were moved out to set up like a blocking position for VBIDs to not be able to come through. Once those shipping containers were set up, it put a great wall in front of the Taliban that they couldn't be seen, at least by the guys on the ground. We were in an elevated position, so we could see everything that they were doing. And it was probably about 3 days or 2 or 3 days into that, being at the gate, that they put those shipping containers out there. So we're getting ready to open up this gate. And I told Chaz and Dalton, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go down on the ground because they pushed out a platoon in riot gear out through the crowd, just like sent out a platoon just through this crowd of hundreds of people. I mean, any one of them could have fucking detonated a bomb. And I mean, I've got video of this too. And so they pushed the platoon out to cordon off like a couple hundred of the people in the crowd. And we started opening the gate a little bit, and they just collapsed. And I mean, dudes were coming out. The funny thing is it's like it sucks about the allies that we left behind, but what sucked even more and seeing the women and children suffer through that is seeing the military age males just running, not trying to stand up and fight for their country. And that was a big majority of who was coming through the gate.
Yeah.
And 90% of them, they just didn't have the opportunities to get, passports or citizenships or visas and stuff. And so those people were coming through. And I mean, pretty much the military age males, those ones would come through and they would just be throwing haymakers and fighting us. Physically fighting us all day, trying to like get past us into the airport. And so finally, Cooper and Adam are like down at the entrance of the gate, and they get sucked into the crowd, and they're like pulling them in, like all this crowd's pulling them into them, and they're like holding on to the gate. And so I go down there because we were looking for him, and I help pull Cooper out, find Adam, and then they kind of close up the gate a little bit, and then bring up two SUVs and like an outward V to funnel people through those SUVs so they can't just start mauling us pretty much or trample us. And so when that gate was first open, I mean, I pulled out one lady who like the crowd just broke over the top of her and just trampled her to death. And like we tried pulling her out, and I was there and pulled this lady out, and she was gone. She got trampled to death. And that happened a lot. I witnessed it probably 4 or 5 times just myself at that gate. Quite a lot with babies too, because they'd get suffocated in the crowd.
Damn.
Yeah.
What were you guys doing with the people when they got in?
Started searching them. We didn't have a safe way to search yet. As safe as can be in that situation, but they'd come through in onesies and twosies, and we'd search them and then try and link them up with the State Department and get them processed. And a lot of the time it would just be the State Department saying, nope, they can't come through, send them back. And we'd send them back straight out to the Taliban. And a lot of them who get sent back, on the spot, I remember we watched this lady who walked around one of the shipping containers, metal pipe just comes and just bam, straight into the forehead and just out, gone, just like that. And they like at night it was the worst. They'd they knew there weren't as many eyes on them at night, and they'd line people up along the wall and just fucking execute them. There was like flashbangs that had to be used and stuff to try and crowd control, and we got the first couple hundred people set in place, and then we're slowly pushing into like the main part of the canal. Off of like the left edge of our tower, there was a chain link fence that ran out about 100 yards. And so then the canal was on the left side of that. And, I don't remember what day it was, but they brought those shipping containers out, and then they brought the ground force commander out to speak with the Taliban. I don't remember who specifically did it, but we were told that they paid the Taliban off to stop fighting us, pretty much, to stop like getting in our way. And what we were told is the rules in place were, leave us alone, we'll leave you alone if you let us take these people out. But there was nothing like, hey, to the Taliban that, hey, stop, like, if you fucking kill these people or execute them, we're going to do the same to you. And there was none of that in these agreements. So they had free will to do whatever they wanted out there. Yeah.
I'm fucking speechless right now.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was heavy.
Those people spent a lot of time over there, and a lot of those Afghans had our fucking back.
Yeah.
And for the president of the United States to allow this shit to happen is fucking absurd. Yeah, and it gets worse.
Yeah, it does.
And it fucking gets worse.
Yeah. We,
I'm going to try to, never mind.
So
This is what happens when you fucking vote for somebody that cannot put a sentence together. This is what fucking happens.
yeah, we you know it. We like,
And it was right in front of everybody's fucking face on that first debate. It was right there in the open. You voted in an incompetent fucking moron to run this country, and this is the shit that happens.
I think you
You
know.
should be fucking ashamed of yourself.
I think you know firsthand too. Like, a lot of us have bled for a lot of those allies over there, but it's the same on their end. A lot of them have bled for us too, and I mean, we, yeah, those shipping containers were put up. I typically would stay up on nights because, you know, I thought, all right, if they're going to do something, they're going to try something at night. If they're going to try and shoot us, attack us, blow us up, like they're going to do it at night. That's when I would do it. And so I stayed up almost every night from sundown to almost sunup. And at one point I got so fed up. I was counting bodies over the net. Like, the Taliban have killed 2 people. The Taliban have murdered 3 people. They've executed 4, 5, 6. Like, I got fed up and kept requesting engagement authority, letting them know, like, what are we doing about this? And just like, you know, go about your job. That was what was passed down from the battalion or above the battalion. It's like turned right, walked up on top of their Connex boxes there, and set up the guys on security, and started taking pictures from this tower. And I have pictures of this too, of me doing this, and started taking pictures of the piles of bodies that were on the ground, the guys lined up on their knees against the wall, the women lined up against on their knees against the wall and stuff with guns pointed at their head. And
still, the Biden administration would not allow you to save these fucking people. They're literally on their knees facing the wall, getting shot in the back of the fucking head, one after another. And our president is not going to allow you to fucking engage.
We turned that footage over to the Joint Operations Command and to our intel assets that night, and got given a new SD card. And we're like, all right, go back out to the gate. And that was that. So went back out. Nothing came of it. No one made any decisions on dealing with the Taliban executing people. And I mean, that was just finally the pinnacle of it. I mean, it had been going on for days prior, many, many days prior. And, you know, I mean, one memory of these, how desperate these people were to escape the Taliban is this lady. We had to send her back out of the gate, and I don't remember who did it, but some individuals were taking her back out of the gate and go back into the crowd, and she jumps, like leaps at the razor wire and starts trying to cut her throat with the razor wire. She was like, if you send me back, they're going to rape me. They're going to fucking torture me. Like, kill me. And like a couple Marines grabbed her and prevented her from killing herself. But I mean, that's how fucking bad it is there. Like, she was willing to just slit her fucking throat on razor wire. Can you imagine that? It's not shit I ever could have made up. You know, I couldn't have dreamed about this shit. And I mean, it was unreal. Like I said, the crowd just continued to build up next to our tower. Finally, I want to say 2 days before the suicide bomber and the gunfight, and on the morning of, we took 2 impacts from the neighborhood on our window. Like, got shot at, like impact, and then crack, and shut the door. I climbed up the tower. Cooper was up there, and like right where his head was, there was 2 7.62 bullets that had impacted right next to him. Fortunately, the glass was bulletproof. I have pictures of that as well. And, you know, we told command what was going on. Nothing came of it. You know, guys said, keep operating, keep pulling people out, keep doing what we're doing. So we continued to search for a shooter. Couldn't find one. I mean, that neighborhood was 2- and 3-story buildings, just able to see everything that we were doing. And I mean, you could have hidden in 100 different rooms. The morning of the 26th.
What are the discussions between you and your team? Are you guys wondering why you're not engaging?
Yeah.
I mean, how much chatter?
I mean, it's a lot. I mean, we're just like, honestly, disbelief of what the situation is, and disbelief at the lack of leadership, the lack of decision making on what was going on. I mean, this is shit we're gonna have to live with for the rest of our lives. You know, every single person out there saw the things that we did. That's shit we're gonna have to live with for the rest of our lives. And in combat anywhere, there's hard decisions to be made, and outside of combat, but it's the lack of decisions that cause these things to happen.
It was absent leadership.
Yeah.
Nobody's there.
No.
Not one fucking person is stepping up to the plate.
Yeah.
All the way from the President of the United States down. Not one fucking decision was made.